What's up guys? In this video I'm going to be giving you some information that every Focus ST owner should know. And I've made a few videos on catch cans before, but this is going to be an in-depth video about just more than that. And everything you'll need to know to take care of your ST, especially if it is high mileage. And this kind of goes for all direct injected engines. But mainly this one because obviously I have a Focus ST channel, so I'm going to tell you more about that. But I just recently had my valves walnut blasted, and essentially what the purpose of that is, with a direct injection car, a little bit of oil gets passed and can start to gunk up your valves. And I will insert pictures throughout this video of the before and after pictures. I had them done locally, but the oil gets passed, and essentially what it does is, if you take the intake manifold off and look on your valves with like a borescope camera, you will be able to notice that there's this thick like black gunk on them and also carbon buildup, and that can eventually harm these engines. And if like a piece of carbon were to break off and then go through your turbo, it could damage your turbo, and can also cause misfires and things like that. And my car has 86,000 miles and I just had it done, and they weren't too bad, but I did notice an improvement. And essentially what walnut blasting is it's like takes walnut shells all crushed up into like a sand-like texture, and they blow them onto the valves with pressurized air, and it essentially just cleans off the valves and makes them back to shiny metal again and clean, just as if the engine was new. And that cost me $200 to have done locally. If you're local to Oklahoma, you can leave a comment and I'll get in contact with you and give you the guy who did mine's name, because he did a great job, and it actually ended up making the car idle and run a lot smoother. And I also had a code that would show up for a cylinder 2 misfire about a month ago, and I checked the spark plug gap, and like it went away and came back once, then went away, and I hadn't seen it again. And then I had the valves walnut blasted about 2 weeks ago, and it has not come back. And the car, my car's idle also used to go up and down, and the PCV had been fixed, which is a common issue on these cars. The PCV valve is broken, and that can cause your gas tank to deform, or your idle to be not smooth and stuff like that. But mine had been replaced, and it turns out now, after my valves were walnut blasted, it idles smooth and drives a lot smoother, and it also just helps out with the longevity of your engine. In addition to that, I think the first mod every Focus ST owner should do, if you want to have it for a while, is a front catch can. I have front and rear. You can see there's the rear one there. That's on the CCV side. This is the PCV side. And add W1, that's the one I have. I have videos on these with links to get them if you just scroll back in my videos. But it's a great kit. You can get different colors to customize it. It has this really solid mount, and it's not too bad to empty. I can usually just reach my hand in here and twist it loose and empty it, but I just changed my oil and emptied it, so I can't really show you much now. But after about 3,000 to 4,000 miles, this can right here, I guess you can see the bottom of it, but that gets pretty much full. It gets up to like right here, and this is baffled. You want to make sure if you get one, you get a baffled one, so when you drive aggressively and make turns, that oil doesn't splash back up and get sucked back into the car, because the whole point of it is to catch that oil. And the one in the rear, you don't really need those unless you want to be really careful. I've had this one on for, I don't know, 10 or 15,000 miles, and it barely has anything in it. So you don't really have to worry about that, but I just have one because they sent it to me to review. But the front one is extremely beneficial, because the reason my valves may have not been so bad is because I've had a catch can for pretty much the whole life of the car. I've had it for a little under 20,000 miles, and I've had one of these on for probably 15,000 miles. I had like a cheap generic one on, and then I moved to this kit, and it is much better. And essentially what this does is it's connected like the PCV in there, and when the oil like comes through, it'll go through these hoses and just gets caught in this can instead of going back into your intake manifold and gunking up your valves. And that also helps with longevity. That's more of a preventative measure, but you should have them cleaned, especially if you have a high mileage ST. Like mine's 86,000. That's not super high mileage, but I would recommend doing it around then, even like 75, just to make sure it's clean. And once you have a clean slate to start with, then make sure that you have a catch can to keep it clean, And also, that's not the only way of cleaning. You can use like a CRC intake and turbo spray cleaner. You can just get that at your local auto parts store and spray that in through a vacuum line, like a PCV. I think you can do your intake, but I believe it's not recommended that you do that. But that's definitely not going to work as well. I've watched several videos. I researched this a lot before getting my valves walnut blasted, and the spray cleaner, it just soaks on them and it chemically dissolves the buildup on your valves, and it doesn't do a great job. Obviously, it's just a store-bought thing, costs like 10 bucks. And that is not going to clean your valves completely. And also with that, you risk the chance of the chemical starts dissolving it, and then a piece of carbon breaks off and then goes through your engine and hits your turbo, and that can damage things too. And there's also another service that I didn't know about, but someone replied to my stories on my Instagram and told me about it. And it's called BG products is what they're called, and they have a like valve and like intake system cleaning service that you have to do by like this has to be done by a shop with a special machine who's been approved to use their products and stuff. But it is a chemical too, and not only does it clean just your valves, but it cleans the whole intake system and like throttle body and all that. And that's supposedly really good because that chemical was worked with and kind of perfected to dissolve everything. So with that, from what I could tell, is you won't have anything break off and hit your turbo because it all gets dissolved and then burned off. And that is another method. I may have that done in the future just to get the whole system cleaned, but I chose to have it walnut blasted for now because I'd rather have a manual cleaning just so I could see and make sure that they're clean, which again you'll see in the before and after pictures. And another way of keeping your valves clean is methanol injection, which if you're a big turbo or familiar with Focus STs that are big turbo, that's pretty much a necessity. If you want to reach 400 horsepower, you have to do methanol injection, and that helps keep your valves clean. But from what I understand, it won't clean them if they're gunked up. It won't like clean them and make them look brand new again, but it does help them stay clean. And then also driving the car hard. If you drive the car like bang rev limiter every now and then, that'll help knock some of that stuff off of your valves and keep them clean, and also burn it off as the car gets hot. Now obviously do that at your own risk and take care of your car. Like I drive my car pretty hard. I've done autocross, do pulls all the time, let it redline, and I've never had any issues, like any big issues with the car other than just stuff going bad, like a O2 sensor. And then probably my biggest issue is just I believe it's the low pressure fuel line here split and was leaking gas. So I had to order one of those and replace that, but that's pretty much it. So just mainly keeping up with maintenance on these cars and being educated on how the engines work, and obviously keeping your valves clean is a huge part of the longevity with them, and also keeping them running smooth and make the most power. Stay on top of spark plugs, oil, transmission fluid helps, and keeping your valves clean. But it's pretty important if you want to have your ST last a long time, and especially if you bought one or have one that's high mileage, you definitely want to look into having this done. And if you don't have anyone locally who can do walnut blasting, maybe look for the BG service to have that done, or you can even just try the spray cleaner. And so I've seen several people who have done it, and I haven't personally seen anyone who has had their turbo damaged by that. It won't clean it completely. But I've also heard of Seafoam, but I've heard that the CRC stuff, there's all kinds of different intake spray cleaners. They're pretty much all the same. I mean, some may work better than others, but none of them are going to clean it perfectly and get it perfect. So that's why you want to do a manual cleaning to get them completely clean. But if you don't have that as an option, I would say definitely go for the spray cleaner. I've watched several people do it on STs, and I've never seen anyone damage anything with it, but I just know it's a possibility. So just so you know about that. But I'll probably use the spray cleaner every like 5,000 or 10,000 miles because it's pretty easy to do, only costs 10 bucks, and it'll just kind of help keep up with them, and it won't have any big carbon buildup at that point. But that is pretty much it. I just wanted to let everyone know because I just had it done on my car and it did make quite a bit of a difference. If you have anything else to add or any questions, feel free to leave a comment. And I can help as much as I can, or if anyone else knows anything else. But this is pretty much what I've learned from my research, and that is pretty important for these cars, for them to last a while and also just keep them healthy. But please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.